This section of the exam then has to do with the student being given a sentence with 4 incorrect options, and the student must choose which of them it is. Which is misspelled. The first strategy we are going to use, as we have already seen previously, it is precisely paying special attention between the subject and the verb of the sentence, because we want them to agree. We want them to be well written. Let's remember that prepositional phrases are the ones that we can precisely eliminate, and we can then find the answer we are looking for. We're going to have this first topic, and we're going to prepare it with these types of exercises. So, we have these exercises, and we're going to observe precisely to detail the subject and the verb of the sentence. For example, in the first exercise, we can see that it is a positive A. Then we can notice that we have the object of the preposition that we can eliminate. Then, obviously, I'm going to select the subject and verb of the sentence. In this case, the subject is the interrogation and the verb is have. And we notice that the subject is singular. The verb is not singular. Should be singular so that they agree. That's the way to solve it. That's why the first one is incorrect. We look at the second sentence. We have the subject of the sentence. We notice that it is plural. Then we notice that there is a preposition, and there is another preposition, and then we notice that there is a verb in the prayer. This verb in the sentence is singular, but the subject is plural. Both should be the same way. If the subject is singular, the verb must be in singular or third person. If the subject is plural, the verb must be plural. That's why this one is incorrect. We look at number 3. We realize that I have the subject of the sentence. Then we realize that we have the dressing, where we can remove the dressing to find the verb. And upon finding the verb, we realize that the president is in the singular and the verb is conjugated in the singular. Therefore, the sentence is correct. We observe the following sentence. We realize that this would be the subject of the sentence. It is plural. This would be an adjective. Understanding that I have a verb in its past form plus a preposition. During is still a preposition. Then I can eliminate until I get to the actual verb of the sentence to realize that the subject is in singular in this case. Sorry, plural, because it ends in S and the verb is also plural. Then the sentence is correct. Remember that I can eliminate the rest of the information that is not useful to me to understand this sentence. In number 6, I'm going to delete and continue. We can notice that we are going to find the subject and the verb of the sentence. Then we will verify that they are correctly conjugated. And we will be able to define whether the sentence is good or bad. In number 6, I have a connector and a comma. This is most likely a positive. Then I have the subject of the sentence. I'm going to remove the preposition and then find the verb. So, the subject of the sentence is singular. The verb in the sentence is plural. That's why the sentence is incorrect. Should be has. We understand that the word directors is in some way, a distraction. But we know that the verb is the one that must be singular because the subject is singular. This sentence is incorrect. In number 7, we have the subject of the prayer. Then I have the preposition that allows me to eliminate with the connector. Subject and verb, but it is not the verb of the sentence. The verb of the sentence is this. Get here. This verb of the sentence is plural, and this subject of the sentence is singular. The plural of the verb to have is precisely have, but the singular is has. And the word manufacture is singular, which is why the sentence is incorrect. We then move on to the next sentence. We find that this is the subject of the prayer, and it is in singular. Then, we remove the information from the preposition. And then we find the verb. When we find the verb, we realize that the subject is so unique, that the verb is so singular. Therefore, the sentence is correct. In the next sentence, I'm going to put it over here so you can see it a little better. We are going to apply the same structure, the same tool, the same form of response. And what can we say? We can say that the scheduled departure, precisely this whole word, is the subject of the sentence. I'm going to delete this preposition. Then, there are two commas that imply to me that it is a positive that I can also ignore or eliminate to check the verb. I realize that this verb is plural, that this subject is in the singular. By. Therefore, this sentence is incorrect. So based on this way of answering, we can add a new one, a notion, a new idea that has to do with precisely a topic that we were recently able to study, and that has to do with expressions of quantity. Expressions of quantity. The words we can see right now. I am given to understand that even though I have a subject in the sentence, whatever it is, that subject in the sentence is going to be replaced by the words all of the, most of the, some of the, either, half of the. That means that even though I have a preposition, this time I'm going to accept it as a whole, as a group of expressions, all of that. And I'm actually going to look for the subject of the sentence. So in the rest of the sentence have other subjects. This is the true subject to then look for the verb and verify that they agree. Let's look at some examples and apply it all the time. We are going to be focused on applying them. In this case, I find that in this sentence, I have the expression, most of the, as we just saw. So, most of that tells me that the word fire is the true subject of the sentence. Although there is another word that invites me to think that this is the subject of the oration. Most of the time, it indicates that fire is the subject of the sentence, with which I can eliminate the preposition. Look for the verb, and realize that fire is in singular. Was is in singular. Therefore, the sentence is correct. We observe in the following sentence, and I have some of the. Some of the gives me to understand that animals is the subject of the sentence. Then I'm going to remove the preposition, extra information. The word animals is plural, but this verb is in the singular. That's why no. They agree, they do not fit, they are not. It is not a compatible or correct sentence. We look at the following sentence and realize that all of the is that structure we just reviewed. So, students is the subject of the sentence. I can eliminate the preposition with a adjective that I can also eliminate to then find the verb of the sentence. In this case, students is plural, is require is singular. We can say that this sentence does not match. that this sentence is incorrect. That is not well written. We look at number 4. And what did we find? At number 4 we find half of the as an expression so that I can understand that food is the subject of the sentence. This word that is a subject-verb connector that we have seen previously. And really, the verb I'm looking for is this one. Food is either singular or plural, so it is an incorrect sentence. It should be is and not are. We observe the following sentence. We realize that the expression some of which is what makes me understand that this is the true subject of the prayer. Then I remove a preposition object. And then I notice that I have the verb from time. In this case it is singular, is singular. The sentence is correct. The prayer has agreement. The sentence is well written. We look at number 6. And what did we find? All of this is what makes me understand that the word witnesses is the subject of the sentence and is plural. Then we have a preposition that we can eliminate, and then there's an appositive that I can also ignore at this point. And I'm going to find the verb of the sentence. The verb of the sentence is plural. The subject of the sentence is plural. The sentence is correct. In the following sentence we have must have. The to understand that this is the indicator of the subject of the sentence. In the room is a preposition that I can eliminate, and was is a verb that is singular. The word people is plural, therefore it is incorrect. We move on to the next sentence. And what did we find? Half of the has to do with the fact that procedures is the true subject of the sentence, and was is singular. The word procedures is plural. It doesn't fit, it doesn't match. The sentence is incorrect. We then move on to number 9 on this side. And what are we going to find? We find that all of the has to do with what questions is the subject of the sentence. I can remove the preposition, and then I have the verb where incorrect. So, questions is plural. Where is plural, the sentence is correct. In number 10, we find must of the as the expression that tells me that the word trouble is the subject of the sentence. This is a connector, subject and verb. Then we have a preposition and. I'm just going to look for the verb that would be was. Travel is singular. Was is singular. So the sentence is correct. The sentence has agreement. After this notion is a little clearer, let's jump into one. Next form of response, where we will realize that in this way. I'm going to put it like this maybe to remember it better. Let's take note of a previous topic we studied called the inversion of the subject and the verb. And we quickly remember it this way. Let's say that in English we must invert the position of the subject and the verb with some preconditions. The first is that if it is a question, then I will change the order. First the verb, then the subject. That if I have some words that imply negative expressions, I must change the order. First the verb, then the subject. That if I have expressions of the place, even if they have prepositions, because there are prepositions of place, still, I have to change the order and put the verb first, and then put the subject of the sentence. Then we're going to remember that there's a moment when I'm going to want to eliminate the if conditional, and I'm going to change it for some verbs. Suddenly you will remember. Verbs like where, verbs like should, or verbs like have. So, I'm going to reverse the order, and finally, in comparisons, I'm going to reverse the order and make sure that both the subject and the verb are in agreement. That means they are well conjugated, singular with singular and plural with plural. Let's look at these cases and see if it's conjugated correctly or incorrectly. Only once, for example, is a negative expression. That negative expression makes me have to first find the verb of the sentence and then the subject of the sentence. This would be a secondary verb. The one I'm interested in is the first verb. The first verb is plural and the subject is plural. Therefore, the sentence is correct. In sentence number 2, we have around the corner to the right. That's a place. They are telling me that around the corner to the right, they are implicating me. They are giving me to understand that it is a place. And then I have the verb is, and then I have the rooms, which would be the subject. Here we realize that the verb is in the singular. The subject is plural. Therefore, the sentence is incorrect. We look at number 3, we realize that it is a question then. We can indicate that the order should be changed. In this case, for example, I'm going to remove the preposition. This is the verb I'm looking for. This is the subject I'm looking for. With the difference that this verb is in the singular and this subject is in plural. That makes the sentence incorrect. To make it correct, I should change is to are. We look at the following sentence and realize that with the expression where we are trying to eliminate the conditional. It is a previous topic and we realize that it is correct. Because regardless of the subject, can be singular or plural, where you will always choose to adopt the same position. Where she, where he, for any of the pronouns. So that's correct. Let us remember that if this topic is not sure, initially in unit number 7, you can find a more detailed description of how subject-verb inversion is done in English. In number 5, we realize that there is a comparison, and that by having a comparison, I'm going to find the verb and then the subject. The clearest difference is that this verb is conjugated in the plural because the singular is does. This is in plural. But the subject of the sentence is singular. Therefore, the prayer is incorrect. It should be does the next one, because the next one is so unique. In number 6, we find that we have the word there, and the word there is an expression of place. They're in general terms. So we can say that with the expression, with the word there, I'm going to need a verb and then a subject. This would be the verb of the sentence. It is in singular, and the word mistakes is in plural. That makes me understand that it is incorrect, because it should be there were for it to be correct. Then we move on to number 7, and we realize that the word seldom is a word. A negative expression. I'm going to eliminate the preposition, another preposition. I find the verb and then the subject. I realize that the verb is so singular, the subject is plural, that is why it is incorrect. The sentence is wrong. We move on to the next one. I'm going to fit it better so that it can be perceived better. I'm going to put it this way, and we're going to end with this idea, with this notion of the subject. understanding that. For number 8, I have a question. That means that this would be the verb, and this would be the subject of the sentence. The difference is that the teacher is in the singular, but have is plural. Should be has, and that is why the sentence is incorrect. We look at the following sentence to realize that the new system. The word far more, and then Dan has to understand that it is a comparison. So this is a verb, this is the subject with a reverse order. The difference is that then the verb is in singular, the subject is singular, therefore the sentence is correct. Finally, at number 10 we find that in the parking lot south of the stadium. All this is a place. They are telling me that it is in the south parking lot from the stadium, and then I have a verb and then I have a subject. The subject is plural. The verb is in the singular. Therefore, this sentence is incorrect. So with this new notion, we can add it to a new concept for realize if the sentence is written correctly or incorrectly. And for this, we are going to talk about some expressions that can be a bit confusing for students. First of all, the words we are seeing on the screen. Some indicate plurality. For example, the word all. This word, for example, it gives me to understand that the verb is expected to be plural. Even in Spanish, we would say words like todos va, and we would say words like ella va. In English, it is totally different. In English, it is as if we said, everyone goes, and it's something strange. But it is the rule that implies to me that all compound words with any, every, no, and some will have a singular verb, a third-person verb. We added the concepts of each and every. So, all these words, although they appear to be plural, will have a singular verb. And we are going to apply this rule. We will verify that it is fulfilled, because it is the most important thing when it comes to realizing whether the sentence is written correctly or incorrectly. At number 1, for example, I have the word somebody and admire, where it should be admired, so that it would be correct, because the verb should be in the third person. In the following sentence, we find each. We can eliminate the entire preposition and the term that goes with it. She, even if it were plural, because here it says doctors. Actually, the word each is what tells me that the verb should be conjugated in the third person. For number 3, we find the word no one and then was. It should be was in this case, because it should be singular, but it is written in plural. Therefore, the sentence is misspelled. In the next one we find everybody participating in a civo. I'm going to look for the verb. The verb is the one we find in this case, and should, being in singular, although it doesn't make much sense in Spanish. In English it is the expected form. Say everybody is. For the next one we find nothing has. And we realize that it is well conjugated because the verb is in the singular. For number 6 we found someone. And the word take is conjugated in plural, and should be conjugated in singular. Therefore I should take the third person takes. The sentence is incorrect. At number 7, anybody and goes. Anybody is the compound word. Goes is the verb conjugated in the third person. So the sentence is written correctly. For number 7, anybody goes is well written. For number 8, although I have the word every and someone might think that the words man, woman and child is plurality, I'm going to take the preposition and delete it. Require is plural. It should be singular just because it starts with the word every. So the sentence is incorrect. So that it is correct should be changed to is. At number 9 we find anything is possible to understand that it is well written, because anything is a compound word. Is the singular verb. For number 10 we find nobody. What is the subject of the sentence, and should it be has to be singular and correct? This sentence is incorrect. So, this is how we're going to understand and apply the rules of this topic, and I hope you'll move on to doing the exercises to be able to delve deeper into these concepts.